Good evening. I will welcome you all to the March meeting of Lawrence City Council, and I'll call us to order at this time. I find that we do have a quorum. We hope to see Ms. Miller here in a minute, but because I have a reputation for punctuality to defend, I'm going to make sure we start on time. So we'll begin tonight with an invocation led by Councilor Campbell, and I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag's at the rear, so if you'll please stand and bow your heads for prayer.
Father God, we thank you for another day, another opportunity to come together as a community to bring our minds together, to bring plans to help our city. Father, we pray that you would be with us as we make these decisions, guide us, direct us, protect us, Lord God. We honor you, we praise you in the precious name of Jesus. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Well, it is a wonderful thing to see you all here tonight. I'm very glad to have you with us. And tonight we begin with the business of council by recognizing that it is Disabilities Awareness Month. And we'd like to welcome Mr. Jason Tavener at this point to address council and all of us gathered here about Disabilities Awareness Month. Tavener?
Mayor, what you need to stand in? I don't wish I'm in the right place.
Where you are is just fine, I believe.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for this opportunity. I'm Jason Tavener, the Executive Director for the Lawrence County Disabilities and Special Needs Board. It's March, so I'm here again. And I do appreciate the city's past support for this proclamation. Which the proclamation itself does a lot of good things. It raises awareness for the people we support, which is people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, autism, head injury, and spinal cord injury. That's our niche, and that's what we do. We help people with homes. We have some in the city of Clinton, and one in Joanna. We have programs where we teach people work skills. Real proud of that. Love for any of you to come tour those facilities. Evergreen and our Cypress campus. And of course, we help people with our case management, which is helping them stay in their homes. We do that for the vast majority of people. This proclamation raises awareness for all the contributions that people with disabilities are making in our communities, whether it be through work, play, or all other endeavors. They are citizens and contributing, and I appreciate you highlighting that. And it also highlights the caregivers, paid and, of course, families, which, of course, are the bedrock for our communities and for our services. Thank you for acknowledging their efforts. And lastly, it is our 50th year as an agency. It's hard to believe. It's such a round numbers you have to celebrate. So we had that celebration the other morning. But I'd like to just mention the Lawrence County Disability and Special Needs Board been serving our communities now for 50 years, and it's with great partners. There's a lot in the room, and of course, sitting in front of me here, that helped us to be successful in the past, and we look forward to that going forward. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. When I first became mayor 4 years ago, one of the things that I was sort of tickled to find out is that of the powers that I have in this office, I can proclaim things. And so I am very happy to proclaim March as Disabilities Awareness Month here in the city of Lawrence. And I thank you for coming and addressing council. All righty, continuing on with our agenda tonight, we have a report from Ms. Courtney Stonell of our local Keep America Beautiful affiliate, Keep Lawrence County Beautiful. Courtney?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Courtney Stonell. I'm the Keep Lawrence County Beautiful affiliate coordinator. I know I've come and spoke with y'all before, and so now here we are about a year later, and I'm here to present to y'all our official Keep Lawrence County Beautiful official certificate as a Keep America Beautiful affiliate. This is y'all's certificate that y'all get to keep and hang up in City Hall or wherever y'all see fit. And it's an honor to come and present this with everyone because of y'all's support, I'm able to do this and help keep our roads clean. And I've made a lot of great partnerships working with the city. And I just cannot thank y'all enough for your support and all your efforts you do. The other thing, when I come and I was planning, I was going to talk to everybody about our Earth Day events. So for the month of April, we're having a Upstate Team Up to Clean Up challenge with all the counties in the Upstate. So any bags of trash that are picked up within the month of April that are voluntarily, or if you allow your employees or somebody to go out and clean up, that counts for the bag count. So we definitely want to show out and show, that Lawrence County, we got community members and we're dedicated to doing our part. However, I know the city of Lawrence is very big supporters, and we have almost a whole week full of Earth Day cleanups going on. And again, I cannot thank y'all enough for taking that on and letting me support that and be part of that. So again, like I said, I'm just here to thank y'all so much for your support on this. And who would you like me to give it? How would y'all to pass it off to?
Members of City Council, would you mind sort of standing up and joining me? We'll just have you stand in the middle there.
One of y'all just send me this one. Okay, there we go.
Good.
We can't see you, Mrs. Miller. Oh, yeah, there's in there.
Oh, we gotta have Johnny Bolt in there. He's my main person that picks up.
Okay, everybody smile. Thank you. Got it.
Perfect. I will pass this on over
Nice.
to y'all.
Thank you very much.
And then on behalf of the city employees, they would like to congratulate all the council members that have now been reelected, and they have a nice surprise for everyone.
So the cake says congratulations, so congratulations, everybody. And let them eat cake afterwards.
I think I can say on behalf of Ms. Campbell and Mr. Miller, Mr. Bolt and Mr. Lowry and myself, we're very, very glad to be continuing to serve the city of Lawrence, and working with all the fine people that work here at the city. It is a privilege to serve with you, and I look forward to the next 4 years. I'll have a little bit more about that later. All righty. Thank you, Courtney. I will sort of move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a few opening remarks and a report from me. The voters of our city have spoken loudly and clearly. I look forward to serving the people of the city for the next 4 years. But our victory in the election last night was not a victory for me in and of itself. It was a victory for the city of Lawrence. We carry on the great work that we've begun, and the unified leadership who serve on city council, and the effective team that we've assembled across every department of city government. We will not skip a beat. I will have more to say on all that later, but tonight we'll carry on business as usual. Our City Code of Ordinances, Section 26F, which was passed back in 2014, says that all newly elected city officials shall take office on the first meeting in April following the date of the general election. So at our next meeting, we'll come together to elect a mayor pro tem, and Councilors Bolt, Campbell, and Lowry and I will be sworn in at that time. We'll be releasing details about that. But I appreciate you all being here tonight and for that very kind encouragement. We feel the love. For now, I want to give you a report on some things that my administration and I have been working on and give you some dates to mark on your calendar. So 4 years ago, our first order of business was to organize a citywide community cleanup. 4 years later, we've worked together with our partners in the county and the city of Clinton to help establish Keep Lawrence County Beautiful. I'm proud to serve on that board representing the city of Lawrence, and it is a pleasure to officially be recognized as an affiliate of Keep America Beautiful. I appreciate all your hard work. We'll get together as a community, as a city on April 20th. The City of Lawrence and the Commission of Public Works are getting together to get a head start on cleaning up the city. Our employees will lead by example, and we'll spend the day cleaning up streets in every part of the city. And then we'll get to have a little fun, get together for the second annual CPW versus City kickball tournament. We have welcomed a former Clemson football player to our ranks. And we're going to insist that the CPW doesn't wear steel-toed boots. And we are very optimistic about our chances this year. Then on April 22nd, we're going to invite everybody across the entire city of Lawrence to get together for a citywide community cleanup. So please follow our city's social media for more information about that, and there'll be a link to sign up online for that. These are great opportunities for our community to come together, both as public servants and as community members, to show that we're committed to keeping our city clean. In April, we'll hear a report on the city's finances and our annual audit from Gary Bailey. But I'll give you a sneak preview of that. I'm happy to report that our city's finances and our financial health are strong. In our Streets and Sanitation Department, we're bidding out the general obligation bond, which was recently approved by City Council, which will fund construction of our new Streets and Sanitation Department facility on Caroline Street. Once that bid is awarded, we'll proceed with construction. We look forward to that construction beginning this spring. While we're on the topic of construction, I'm pleased to report that the work that's taking place at City Hall and in our police department and municipal court facilities is advancing according to schedule. I know all police gathered here are looking forward to being in their new home. As part of this renovation, our new court facilities and our council chambers will be equipped with up-to-date technology for presenting evidence and to court and jurors. And we'll also have better technology for making presentations to City Council at our regular meetings. We're committed to transparency and making the proceedings of City Council accessible to the public in our new space. And so we'll also have improved technology for live streaming our council meetings. We're also pursuing a cutting-edge approach to technology in the way we investigate and prosecute crime. Our police department has secured thousands of dollars in donations from private companies in our city for the purchase of new license plate reader cameras. These cameras will serve as a force multiplier, allowing us to identify stolen vehicles or track the movements of criminals, allowing us to apprehend them more quickly. Thanks to Europastry, our newest employer in Hunter Industrial Park, we've obtained a donation of $15,000 for the purchase of 4 of these new license plate readers. This is just another great example of our commitment to making every part of the city of Lawrence safe. These cameras are just one piece of the puzzle. We'll also be introducing new city ordinances which mirror our state laws so that our police officers will have the discretion to write municipal tickets rather than uniform traffic citations. This will give us the ability to keep funds collected from fines here in the city rather than sending them to Columbia. But it will also allow us to enforce penalties without necessarily affecting points on someone's driving record. And that in turn affects insurance rates for drivers. So if you have a young driver who's caught speeding, we could either issue a fine or we could issue a requirement that they attend traffic school and engage in community cleanup public service. That way we keep insurance rates low for mom and dad, but we also help make that young offender part of the solution to cleaning up our city. We have other exciting developments happening across the city. There'll be a new sports bar type restaurant called Garcia's Kitchen, which will be opening in the next few weeks in the Western Plaza Shopping Center. So please stay tuned for more information about the ribbon cutting at that event. We're excited about that. Our new splash pad will open soon for its first full season of use. Dominic Motors will be relocating to its new location on Exchange Drive within the next couple weeks. And depending on how quickly the DMV does their part, assisting in that transition will depend on how quickly they move over there. But we're excited about the conversion of their current space into a new concessions area and bathroom facility for use with the splash pad. And we'll also add a significant number of new parking spaces in the downtown area using the space that they currently use as their car lot. Our Parks and Recreation Department is holding a teen life skills course on essential auto care and emergency services at 6:15 on April 3rd. If you have a young person in your household and they need to know how to learn to change a tire, we got you covered. So register at the link that's provided by the Parks and Recreation Department on their Facebook page, or call or visit the Ridge, and we'll be glad to get whoever you feel needs that service signed up. We've announced on Friday, March 10th, that after more than 2 years of hard work, Watts Mill will be redeveloped by Clear Mountain Properties if the city continued on its current path of progress. Well, with last night's election results, I'm pleased to report that mill site's new owners will soon be submitting a request for that property to be annexed into the city of Lawrence, and will be presenting a plan to the Planning Commission for their consideration. Ultimately, that will come before City Council as well. As we proceed with renewal of long neglected areas, the Watts Mill area included, we're making sure we improve our roads. FCDOT is soon to begin paving of several DOT-maintained roads, and that's most of the roads in the city of Lawrence. But we have accepted a bid from Satterfield to repave the following streets: Kennedy's Ring, Coleman Street, Bub Avenue, Reams Street, Harts Court, and Vine Street. When it comes to roads which are paved by DOT, our city's repaving needs are identified and prioritized by the County Transportation Commission, CTC. But we believed it would be beneficial for the city of Lawrence to have similar representation from the public when it comes to our streets. So tonight I'm announcing that I'm forming a new Transportation Advisory Board, which will serve on a volunteer basis. Those who wish to serve on this advisory board will be selected from every ward across the city, and they'll help us make sure we have good input from the community when it comes to making decisions about repaving the few city streets across the city that we do maintain. But we also want to make sure that we have good input that we can pass along to the County Transportation Commission. So we'll be soliciting applications from individuals across the city who are interested in serving on this advisory board. And I also welcome the nominations of members of City Council. If you know of individuals or you have folks come forward to you that express interest in serving on this board, we want to make sure that there is good representation and that we can have the best information at hand possible when it comes to making those decisions. We'll have more to report soon, but I'm sure that I speak for every member of council when I say that we stand united in our shared vision for the city's future. We're excited to be working together for the next 4 years, and we're grateful for the support of the city of Lawrence and the confidence that you have placed in us. Thank you. That brings us to the next item on our agenda, which is the public participation and hearing portion. Mr. Administrator, have we received any requests?
Yes, sir.
We have none, so we will move on to the consent agenda, which is approval of the council agenda for tonight's meeting and approval of the minutes from our regular council meeting of February 21st, 2023. Do I hear a motion concerning the consent agenda?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as printed.
We have a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call the question. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Hearing no opposition, the matter is approved. Moving on to old business, we have a second reading on code adoption, which would update the International Code Council's collection of codes as modified from time to time by the state of South Carolina. For those of you that weren't with us at our last meeting, state law requires us to update our building codes and the whole stable of codes that comes from the International Code Council from time to time. And this ordinance would simply bring those in line with the most current version of those codes. Do I hear any motions concerning this matter? Yes. Thank you, Councilor Miller. We have a motion to adopt these codes from ordinance by or way of ordinance 2-2302. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, I will call the question. All those in favor of adoption of the ordinance which adopts the International Code Council's collection of codes modified from time to time, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, no. And the measure is passed unanimously on second reading. Thank you. That is our only item of old business. We move on to new business. The first item before us is an ordinance agreement and supplement for local revenue service programs. An ordinance authorizing and directing the City of Lawrence to enter into an intergovernmental agreement relating to South Carolina local revenue services to participate in one or more local revenue service programs, to execute and deliver one or more participant program supplements and other matters relating thereto. And to put that into plain English, I will defer to our city administrator, Mr. Eric Delgado.
So the Municipal Association collects certain taxes for us, like telecommunication taxes. So they renamed the process, so we just have to update the ordinance to reflect that. We're requiring this for every municipality, or if we don't have this passed by May 26th, they won't collect the taxes for us anymore.
And to be clear, this is a model ordinance that it reflects the ordinances that are adopted statewide for anybody who participates in this program. Thank you. All right. Are there any motions concerning ordinance 3-2301?
I make a motion, we accept, or make a motion for adoptance of ordinance 03-23-01.
My second motion.
Second.
I think she beat you to it. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I said, update from time to time. I know that's not our responsibility, but when we get the updates, will they update it on the state level?
I think you're talking about the last ordinance that we passed. So this, unless I'm mistaken. So this, the ordinance that we're talking about is 3-2301. That is simply a one-time thing that is just an update of the intergovernmental agreement from the Municipal Association.
I am talking about this.
Okay. The from time to time was the International Code Council collection of codes. Okay.
That's inappropriate.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anything with regard to the intergovernmental agreement? Hearing none, I call the question. All those in favor of passage 3-2301 on first reading, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. And matters passed unanimously on first reading. All right. Moving right along, we come to matter for land sale, which regards 201 West Main Street, an ordinance approving the execution and delivery of a purchase and sale agreement and other matters related thereto. This concerns the property which is currently owned by the city and occupied by Truist Bank. As has been previously discussed by council and reported in the press, we have serious need for a accommodations facility. We need a hotel in this town. And we did a feasibility study documenting that need. And so we looked at what the best options were to try to make that happen. And the obvious choice that would make the most sense financially for all concerned would be the Truist building, especially given the fact that Truist has a lease on the building which will run in 2026. And so rather than waiting to the last minute to make preparations and plans for what would happen with the future of that building, we did a request for proposals. We got a request for proposal that was very interesting, I'll put it that way. But we heard the feedback from council and went back and sort of tried to negotiate that a bit further. And so now this matter comes before council for consideration on first reading. So I will begin by simply asking for a motion for the purposes of passage on first reading to open the matter for discussion. And then I will defer to our city administrator and allow him to sort of give you further details about the proposed plan for us. Do I hear such a motion?
I make a motion that we open this ordinance for discussion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any motion and a second? Any discussion? Thank you. And by that I mean any questions for Mr. Delgado? Eric, would you sort of like to give a 10,000-foot view?
So I guess the important considerations, I had the building appraised, and an appraised for $1.5 million. So there's that to consider. And another fact to consider is in July, we had a feasibility study conducted by Core Marketing Research Group. They looked at all the analytics and the taxes. And within 5 years, the taxes we'd receive back from the hotel would be about just say $1 million, roughly. So it's about $150,000 a year for 5 years, a little bit higher here and there. It equals about $1 million. I think it's $1,062,000, but I don't have that right in front of me right at the moment. So what this ordinance does right now is just a blanket ordinance that says that we can't sell it for less than $1 million. On the second reading, we can hammer out the details and have that further defined before we pass that. This just lets us start the negotiations.
So to be clear, if we were to sell this, this ordinance would authorize that sale and sets that minimum sale, that minimum sale price. And I know that the priority, we sort of have to balance priorities between trying to serve the need by having a hotel in town that generates revenue and brings in growth in the town and serves the need of people who already live here who need a good place to stay in town. But we also want to make sure that because this is a public asset, that the public gets the benefit of the bargain. This building was acquired by the city through zero tax dollars. It's important to note that when the city acquired the building, it acquired a note on the building, and the rent which the bank pays fully covers the amount of that note. And so not one nickel of city tax dollars had gone into the acquisition of the building or the maintenance of the building, because part of the agreement provides money for maintenance. So even though we don't have city tax dollars that went into acquiring the building, we still recognize the value of the building as a significant asset to the city. So we want to make sure that anything we brought before council was fair to the city and the public's interest. So that's what this does.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. As an asset on our financial books, it's only valued at $800,000.
So any further discussion or questions?
I was just waiting
Mr.
for
Flower.
anybody else. Okay, so it's my understanding that this ordinance authorizes you and Eric to negotiate the sale price, correct? Okay. I don't have a problem with that. Somebody's got to do the negotiations, but once the negotiations that you negotiate the deal, council in turn gets another bite at the apple to look at the negotiations, look at the terms of the agreement, look at the terms of what we're doing here, and then approve that, correct?
Correct.
It doesn't authorize you to execute the sale. It authorizes you to negotiate the terms of the sale. There's a difference.
Before we would have second reading, the terms of the sale would be clearly spelled out so that upon passage of second reading of the ordinance, Congress, City Council would have had the opportunity to fully vet the negotiation.
So by second reading, council will have all the firm legal details, not an update of the negotiation, but the firm legal details
Correct.
of the sale
Correct.
as it will be done.
Correct. Councilor Bolt.
Did you just say,
Are they gonna use their full 2026? Are they gonna be looking for another building or something to move into, is what I'm kinda hearing?
So we've been in discussions with Truist as well, because we wanted to make sure that we reassured them. The city will honor its obligations. We have no intention of doing anything to prematurely terminate that lease. So they have the right to be there through 2026. In the normal course of events, they said that normally about 2 years out, they begin looking at alternate sites to identify a place they might want to move to. The reason we began discussions is because on our end, it takes a minute to do feasibility studies and find somebody that might want to invest that amount of money in putting in a hotel. And so, just to answer your question very clearly, they have the right to remain in that building until 2026. And we will do nothing to change that.
that's what I used to say.
Councilor Sullivan, I believe you had a question.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Now, this is because I don't know. I'm asking this question, it's not nothing personal or anything like that, but the question is, you said, I heard Mr. Lowry state that the ordinance states that it gives you and Eric the authority to, or the right to negotiate the sale, and also the attorney, right?
Well, I mean, he would necessarily be involved.
Yeah, so
So our,
asking to make it clear to the.
yeah. One of the things I think we're very blessed with is Mr. Lawrence Flynn, who's been working on this with us, he's very experienced in doing some of these arrangements in other cities. And so we have the benefit of his experience in arranging this. Ultimately, as mayor, there has to be somebody that signs off on the ordinance, or excuse me, on the deed, and executes that that property transfer. But though I may be the person sitting at the table with the city administrator and our city attorney negotiating it, whatever details that we come up with would be fully presented to city council, and y'all would have the ability to sign off on that or reject them.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
You have additional questions?
Ms. Fleming.
I don't want to.
Ms. Miller, did you have a question, or was that answered?
No, I was just piggyback, making sure that you answered the question.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I have another question. Okay, so you'll negotiate the terms of the sale. I'm presuming that in addition to the negotiating of the terms of the sale, that we will get details of how the building will be utilized and what we're going to see. I think it's in the best interest. I know it's in my best interest. I'm not going to speak for all the council, but in my best interest, I want to see firm, not speculative. I want to know what's going in that building. That building is too critical to the city to just let it be, okay, here's the building, we sold it. Now it's going to turn into whatever. It's got to be, we need to know for sure what is going in there, first floor, second floor, how this is going to be done.
That's a good point. So this would be done specifically for the specific purpose of having a hotel. And so, yes, I'd be happy to make sure that those plans are included in what is presented to City Council.
I know what we've been presented in the past has included some speculative, whether it was going to be hotel rooms on first floor and second floor, just on second floor, retail, restaurant, whatever. So I think it's, I definitely feel like it's in, for me to vote for it in second reading, I need to know for sure what it is. And what, our constituents are going to ask us why we voted to sell it if it turns into a, I don't expect it to turn into a roach motel, but I don't want it to turn into something that doesn't fit with what we're trying to do.
I don't have anything against Family Dollars, but it's not, it's not going to be something other than what we're.
It just doesn't need to, it needs to fit what we want as a council for the future. We're not trying to dispose of an asset because we need the money. We're trying to dispose of an asset because we need a hotel. We need something that looks good for the city.
What it basically comes down to is the fact that it's the price of construction. Because of inflation and the high cost of new construction, I'm sure everybody in here that's had anything to do with that recently understands that. The cost of building new, if we were to have a new hotel developer come into town versus being able to take an existing building and rehab it, is significantly different. And so because of the demographics of our town, if we were to try to have somebody come in and build a new hotel from scratch, pour slab, build rooms, we would be looking at needing to come to the table with some sort of incentivization as a city in terms of land, tax abatement, this, that, or the other. And rather than doing that, the benefit here is the hotel developer is able to get more bang for their buck with an existing building and renovate something more inexpensively. The city gets the benefit of not having a white elephant of a building that we don't have any particular use for as a city after the bank is no longer there. We're able to get a hotel, and we don't have to bring any money to the table. We don't have to give up any money on tax abatement. We would actually be getting, by this ordinance, at least $1 million. So,
I think this is sorely needed, and I'm absolutely for it, but I'm for it as long as we protect the city. You know, I'll go back to a former president saying, trust but verify. We're trying to, I trust that Mr. Bailey and his group are going to do a great job, and I trust that they're going to do what's in the best interest of the city. But I want to verify.
You know, the last time when Mr. Bailey was here, he showed us the picture and the rooms and the floors and how many rooms gonna be there. You were out at that time. Thank you. Anyway, we'll see that later.
we want to do everything in good and proper order. So, anyway, any further discussion or question?
Eric had his hand up.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, the fire department needs a little love, y'all. They're out here watching you. This might do good for the fire department.
Any further discussion? All right, well, if there are none, we have a motion and a second. I will call the question. All those in favor of approval of ordinance 3-23-02 on first reading, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Hearing none, the measure passes unanimously. All right. Finally, the last matter before council is a motion to delegate authority to the city administrator to restructure our city boards and present a new slate of nominees to council at a later date. As we looked at the city boards as they currently exist, there seems to be some confusion as to when terms start, end, et cetera, and we want to make sure that we, rather than bringing particular members and questions before council, that we're acting equally, fairly across the board. And it was suggested by council that the most effective way to handle this would be to delegate authority to the city administrator, where we would present a new slate of nominees to council to serve on each of those boards. And we would essentially, start with a clean slate. That wouldn't prevent currently serving board members from being reappointed. We just want to make sure and be clear that we know who's serving when, for how long.
And so the goal would be to make it unified.
Correct.
So we get some input on who these members are?
So, yes, so council by law appoints members to these commissions. So the city administrator would prepare a slate of nominees and present those to city council for approval. Mr. Delgado, would you have any comment on it?
We'd like to have an application process. Let's make it visible. Let's get the new applicants and present to council. So maybe in like the next few months, we can start doing that process, just so we make sure we have qualified individuals that represent the city as a whole from each ward.
Is that for all boards? And, the application, those that serve and now also have to apply across the board.
So,
With that term limit, with everything, we will have all the details.
Yes, ma'am.
So each council member will appoint a nominee, your application to one or two, and you decide which one, or just how it's going to go?
I think the process should, online is that y'all, maybe we post it on social media, maybe put it on the website, but you inform people to apply. And then I'll take that list of applicants and I'll bring it to a council meeting in the future or a workshop, that's open to the public. And then that's how you can decide.
The desire is, one, so that we have clarity about who serves when, for how long, et cetera, and also that we have the most qualified pool of applicants possible. So this would concern the Historic Preservation Commission, the Planning Commission, the Board of Zoning Appeals. I believe that's it.
What's that? What about the housing authority, is that a board?
They're independent of the city.
They're independent of the city, just, okay.
So I appoint members of that board, but they operate as a separate organization, so this would not affect them. Good question.
Another question, do we have to utilize the online application that we submit to Mr. Delgado, a paper applicant for
I think paper's
recommendation?
fine, written
Okay.
recommendation's fine.
Okay, I don't.
We have an existing board's application in a paper format, and so I would suggest that anybody who doesn't want to sign up online could come by city council and pick up a copy.
Okay. No, I'm asking about, I thought I heard you say that council can give a recommendation for them.
My suggestion would be that if you say, hey, Mrs. Jones really cares about historic preservation, she worked in Aiken or studied architectural history, yada, yada, yada. I think you should take a look at Mrs. Jones. Then Mrs. Jones would then come by City Hall and pick up that type of application or submit it online. Just so we're keeping it across the board fair, whether or not somebody was nominated by council or somebody was just coming in because they're a citizen.
It is now, but that's real good, I'm glad to hear
One more
that.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
The board, members, do they have to be, someone within the city limits, I suppose?
I would encourage that unless it's someone with a
So those,
skill.
that's something that has not been kind of.
I don't know.
out yet.
I don't know that there's a specific requirement in our ordinances about that.
Okay,
My preference, as Mr. Delgado said, would be that we give preference to somebody that is living in the city limits. The only caveat I would give to that is if you had somebody that just, for instance, was a historic preservation architect, but they lived in the Lawrence area, but not in the city limits, I think it would be a shame for us to deprive ourselves of their training and experience if they're willing to serve the community and if they were acceptable to city council. That's my 2 cents, but y'all ultimately get to make the decision about what slate of nominees you approve.
so that would be in that nominee before or after all of that's coming together, like the criteria, in the city limits, not in the city limits, dates, all of that's gonna come with the nominee or is it gonna be separate?
So a nominee would fill out an application. The application, of course, we would have their address on the application, so we'd be able to know whether or not they live in the city limits or not. But those applications could be collected, and then we could have a workshop as a council and sort of evaluate those nominations. And then at a regular council meeting, once we, as a council, worked in that workshop to approve a slate of nominees, actually go through the formal process of approving them.
Okay, so that, I understand what you're saying, so it won't be a specific thing, it'll just be the nominees and just go by each applicant. Okay.
All right. hear a motion to the effect of what is printed in our agenda.
Our motion, delegate authority to the administrator. Present a new slate of nominees to the council.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. All those in favor of the motion made by Ms. Miller, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. And that is approved. Mr. Administrator, we wish you all the best luck with that.
Your plate got full.
Well, one thing,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
one thing I love is that with the band getting back together, we don't skip a beat and we can go full throttle. So I think for the last time,
That's right. I make a motion that we adjourn. Last time.
we have a motion. Is there a second?
There's a second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. No, I'll be here.
Oh, I gotcha.